Now for me, the 450 Himalayan, which was launched earlier this year, represented a big leap forward for Royal Enfield. It's got a new liquid-cooled engine, a decent level of specifications on the hardware, and also more tech than your average Enfield, owing to a rather nicely designed new dash. But thing is, fundamentally a bike like this is always going to be a bit limited on the road because of some of the typical facets of the adventure bike format. It's a bit on the tall side, a bit on the weighty side, and also you've got that 21-inch front wheel with the semi-off-road tires. And so, while I did enjoy riding it, at the same time, I was also looking forward to whatever came next on this new 450 platform. But fortunately now, we've got this. The Guerrilla 450, new for 2026, with the same engine as the Himalayan, the same frame, and also the same technology and tech package. But the key difference is this is entirely designed to be a road bike. It's much lower slung, you've got a road-friendly riding position, and perhaps most importantly, 17-inch wheels front and rear. So could this possibly now be the best road bike in the entire Enfield lineup? Well, this is genuinely the first time that I've actually ridden it. So here are my first impressions out on the road. But before we get on the road, I'd just like to say a massive thanks to Rebel Horn for supporting the channel and sponsoring this video. For this particular ride, I'm wearing that awesome Hunter 2 leather jacket, which combines timeless good looks with excellent protection from the elbow, shoulder, and back armor. Plus, on a warm day, you've got some neat vents to help keep you cool. For me, it's the perfect balance of form and function, all while being delivered at what I think is a really solid price point. I've paired it with their Vandal boots and jeans, which look good enough to wear off the bike, but like the Hunter, they're fully protective and are super comfortable too. So once again, a massive thanks to Rebel Horn for their support. And with that, let's see what the Guerrilla is like out on the road. Straight away there, I'm remembering what I liked about this engine. It's the fact that now with it being a liquid-cooled 450 single-cylinder engine, and if you're familiar with the other singles that you found in previous air-cooled Enfields, then yeah, you'll be delighted about the fact that this can actually rev up a bit and make some decent top-end power. A lot of the bikes like the 350s and even the air-cooled Himalayan, the Scram 411, make around the 20 horsepower mark, whereas this is more so around 40. And it just feels much more fun and appropriate for some engaging road riding. It's got a decent amount of guts to the bottom end as well, so I think it's a good versatile engine. And while it won't quite, blow your mind, I don't think when you're getting up to 50 or 60, certainly up to those speeds and for little country lanes and stuff like this, and certainly around town, there's enough there and it's definitely no worries. Now, one of the benefits potentially of having a frame that's derived from the Himalayan is it does feel really quite spacious. A big open riding position, perhaps versus what I was expecting for a bike in this part of the market. In fact, the bars specifically are quite risen up, aren't they? You can see we got a decent amount of rise up here, and so it's definitely more on that sat up, almost scrambler-inspired end of the ergonomic spectrum. But actually that leaves you with something that does really feel quite comfortable and practical still. You've got a relatively modest seat height, so I think a lot of people are going to find this easy to ride. And it's certainly easy to get your feet down and waddle along in slow-moving traffic. But there's enough room from the seat to the bars, both in terms of reach and height, to make it feel, like a substantial bike. Massively as well, that change to a 17-inch at the front means this bike is way more flickable and agile. And like I say, a bit more low-slung than something like a Himalayan. And so yeah, for the majority of road riding, this would absolutely be my pick. Now, they're not the sportiest of tires. They're a little bit flat track looking, maybe a budget version of something like a Pirelli MT60 RS. And so yeah, maybe you could say that a bit of a concession to the scrambler-inspired image of this bike, but largely it feels pretty good. Suspension is a little firm. I'd say over some harsher bumps. When I pulled over earlier and there's a couple of potholes in the lay-by, you really felt it through the seat. But generally it feels quite composed and braking. Well, it's a single disc up front. I think it's from, by Biber, which is Brembo's more affordable brand. But I actually really like the amount of feel of the lever. It feels quite firm. It's not that aggressive maybe in the bite, but it feels sporty in some ways because it feels firm and there's lots of feedback as well. I like the brakes a lot. In fact, now a quick stop off just to have a look at the dash, which I think is a big improvement versus some of the previous bikes with this new TFT dash, which is round and sort of retro in the design. But yeah, it does have a certain modern feel to it. Now we do have the same mode switch on the right-hand switchgear here, but you can see it saying mode change denied, try again next ignition cycle. I think there's phone connectivity though, so you can get turn-by-turn in AV and that sort of thing, and you've got a little joystick on this switchgear so you can get through the menus and stuff like that. And so, basically you've got quite a nice modern-looking TFT display, but it's still fairly simple in terms of rider aids and that sort of stuff. I would love to know what you guys think of the looks. It's a bit of an interesting one. I quite like it, although the proportions are maybe a little bit less desirable than the Triumph, for example, and this bright blue paintwork on the frame and on this front, well, maybe makes it look a little bit toy-like. But at the same time, I don't find it like totally offensive. So let me know what you think in the comments. But yeah, I've got to say all around, especially with regards to the way it rides, it's a really likable bike, feels, not too serious, quite fun, and it certainly seems to do the job. I think that it was intended to be a bit of a middleweight all-rounder build to a decent price point. And the only criticism really, and this is one I had of the Himalayan, is the fact that this engine does feel quite a bit more vibey than you'd possibly hope. In fact, I've got a direct comparison coming soon with the Speed 400 from Triumph, and certainly with that single-cylinder 400-ish engine, it just feels a little more refined. Like I said, definitely something I noticed on the Himalayan as well, and it certainly gets a bit worse at motorway speeds at 60 or 70 when the engine's revving hard. And, of course, the annoyance kind of grows the more you sit at like a consistent speed. But maybe that's where this bike could be let off the hook a little bit, because that's not really the intended purpose for this bike. Whereas a bit of adventure touring and a bit of motorway work might be part of your usage on the Himalayan, I think it's less likely for this bike, which is much more of a city commuter and this sort of weekend backlane kind of bike. Well, yeah, you're not going to be revving it as hard for sustained periods of time. We have to talk about the price as well. I think it does look really quite good. It's still under $5,000. And when you look at something like the Speed 400 from Triumph, that's 350 quid more, which is not a huge amount. If you really love that bike, you're probably going to be willing to pay the extra. But in terms of all the little factors that play into whether this is a good bike to buy or not, you have to put the price down as a strength now, really. You got to say the closest competitors for this bike have to be the Speed 400 and also the Vippelin and Svartpilen 400 ones from Husqvarna. And all of them are good bikes. They've all got their strengths. The Speed 400, for example, it handles really well. The design and finish is really quite nice. Whereas the Vippelin and Svartpilen, while they rev out a little bit, and also you get excellent fully adjustable suspension. But look, in my opinion, this bike can definitely hold its own amongst those others. And so, if you're already going to drop, $5,000, maybe even more on a brand new bike, then you may as well take half a day to demo this one and see if it's the one where the individual strengths suit you the most. I certainly have really enjoyed riding it, but as always, I'd love to know which bike you'd pick, so let me know down in the comments below. Also, do hit subscribe for more of the latest motorcycle reviews like this right here on Bikes Cars Junction, and massive thanks for watching today, and we'll see you in the next video.